Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am starting out today kind of early, doing this a little bit early.
Oh, yeah. Sun is still out.
Sun's still out. Doing this a little bit early because I'm going to cut out and take the rest of the day off. I have been a little bit sore today. So thank you for being here. Welcome to A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And tonight, I have Wong activist list of caravan that are caravan supporters today. Who is Wong? Why, Winnie Wong. If you don't know who she is, hang around. We're going to talk all about it. I'm going to give you valuable resource material to identify people from the Caravan Support Network. And we're going to talk about this list of activists. This is like a who's who. This is like a database that we're going to get today. So get your pencils, get your paper, get ready to write this information down, screen capture it, get ready to learn and evaluate who these folks are. This is very important. Y'all know we're going to be going away to San Diego very, very soon. So I won't be doing my shows. I won't be able to do my shows. So that means I'm leaving you all some homework. I'm leaving you all some homework for you to do, for you to begin doing research into. And I'm going to give you the resources to do that. We'll be going over the border network, the border support network, the diagram that Evan K. Duke, Lilith Sinclair, Vanessa Dundon, and Myron Dewey, and Brendan Tucker, all part of the Caravan Support Network, Leadership and Infrastructure, presented at Antioch College December of last year in around the week of the 10th, between the week of the 10th through the week of the 20th. So I found more information from that time frame, from that presentation that was done at Antioch College, of who the Border Support Network is and how they function together. And then we'll go through a list of activists, many of which I have identified have been working very closely with all of those involved in organizing ever since Standing Rock and to the present moment now with these caravans and their organization and their funding and their support. Same people, different disaster that they've created. So keep your eyes peeled throughout the show because it's going to be a very chock full of information. And also, I want to remind folks that we're going on our trip. I have been advised, because of the condition of my neck and shoulder, it's hard for me to turn my head now. It's so bad, the pain in my neck. And this is just overuse, aggravated overuse. I have been burning the candle at both ends, trying to get everything ready for our presentation in San Diego and working on the network analysis and the presentation that's going to happen there, and also continuing to do my work for you, my audience. So I've hurt myself pretty badly now, and I'm in a lot of pain, and I want to be functional for the actual trip, and so I could do a good job reporting when I get out there. So probably won't be doing a show tomorrow. This is probably going to be our last show for a while.
Oh, really?
Just, okay. I mean, unless I don't want this thing to recover, I'm going to have to give it some time to recover. Just know that your help and your support is part of the reason why we're going to be able to do this presentation. And we want this network analysis to reach into the hands of the right people. So thank you for sending us information. Thank you for your comments, for your questions, and for your support on our trip. Duke, tell them how they can support our travel funds and more.
Definitely, and thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the people who have donated to the travel fund. It's It's given us the amount of money that we almost the amount of money we need to get there. If anyone could spare a little bit more and add to that fund, it would make it so we can just cover some of our transportation costs once we get on the ground in San Diego. We do appreciate all of you who have given support. I know a lot of people want their names anonymous, and I would like to read through everybody's names, but it's thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. If you'd like to contribute to this trip, which gives us an opportunity to go to San Diego and to Tijuana to meet with Oscar Ramirez, you can go to kpppfm.com/donate. kpppfm.com donate. It's our main website where we keep all of our YouTube videos. I'm actually behind on putting the past 3 shows up. This will be the fourth show I don't have on the website yet. Been having some technical difficulties with other websites, and I've had to deal with that. But we'll try to get those on there, so the whole show's on there with the audio podcast. We have been playing them on the air here and locally in Fargo-Moorhead, and so people can actually hear it when they're driving around town, or some people still have radios in their house. You can get a hold of us if you want to leave us a message on our message line. Our message line is 701-566-0917. Again, that's 701-566-0917. You can tweet us at media_PPP. Let me say that one more time. At media_PPP. You can email Cindy at kpppfm.com. You can email me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. And when you're on Facebook, you can go to 88.1 FM Fargo-Moorhead. You're obviously there because you're watching this live stream, but that's where you find our main radio station Facebook site. We also have the People's Press Project, the Mexi-Can. And again, we would like to ask people to consider donating to our travel fund. You go to kpppfm.com/donate. You can read about that, and you can also see some of the other opportunities we have there. We still have underwriting. We announce things locally on the air for your business. If you feel your business that reaches 165,000 people in the Fargo-Moorhead area, like maybe it's a web business or something, we could advertise that. It's a tax-deductible contribution for underwriting advertisement on our radio station. Remember, we are a radio station. We are KPPP LP 88.1 Fargo-Moorhead. We broadcast in the Fargo-Moorhead community. It's about 10 miles of broadcast range. It covers pretty much the whole community here. And if you're ever in town, tune in to 88.1. And again, thank you all for helping us out. This trip would not be possible if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
I'm trying out the neck stretches that Kathy is recommending for me.
Oh.
It hurts really bad, Kathy. I'm not joking. Like, it hurts to turn my head. That helps. And part of the problem is I don't leave my desk enough. I don't blink enough. I don't stop. Seriously. How many hours do we sit here just back to back to back, researching, collecting information? It's like I should be taking more breaks, but there isn't enough time in the day to do everything I need to do.
Yeah, and we've been doing a lot of shows, so it's like if you start seeing us and like I'm half blind and Cindy's all hunched up like this, is like we've been doing a lot of shows lately, and we do a lot of radio broadcasting, and there's a lot of sitting and a lot of computer work behind all of this, so it just kind of adds up to you sometimes. And hey, it's spring outside now, finally in the Fargo-Moorhead community. Our snow is all melted, although we had a snowstorm a week ago. I was shoveling snow a week ago, but it's all pretty much gone, and the spring is here, and the sun is out. You can tell by today the sun is, we're broadcasting earlier tonight. The sun's coming in our windows. It's making the lighting weird in here for the cameras, but it's getting warm out, and it's better than having to put snow boots on every day. So, I embrace it.
Yeah. And, I was just in physical therapy because I was having problems with my spine and my back and my arm. And what they said was, you need to stretch more. You need to take more breaks, and you can't work that long. But the thing is, then I'd have to actually do the stretches and stop working, and I can't because then I wouldn't get as much done. Nemo hounds me. He follows me around and goes, Mom, stop. And he was yelling at me today saying, you're supposed to rest your arm. Don't do the show. But this stuff is too important. Guys, this stuff is too important. And then I'm going to be gone for a week. So, no breaks. Right?
Right.
We just got to do it. I got to push through it. I know my physical therapist would be very mad at me right now, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I'm just going to barrel through. Anyway, here we go. Let's start off with this chalkboard again. Remember how blurry it was?
Yeah.
Remember how hard it was to see the blurring? Okay. This was a better copy. This comes from Evan Duke's page, guys. That's I'm blocked on his page, but you can see clearly this came from his page. He posted it on his page on what date, Duke?
I was stretching out so you could see it. Oh, this one is really big.
It's to the right where the post comment is, and you can see it was from Evan Duke's page. He tagged Antioch College on December 13th, and this page is the one I'm blocked from. So actually someone else sent this to me so that we could get a clearer copy. Now, some of it is still hard to understand, so I want you to, I made my own. Well, Nemo helped make this for me, that we wrote out with much better grammar. So anyway, I'm going to read from mine so that I can decipher the whole thing for you. Now we're really going to get to the bottom of what's on this sheet, okay? This is very interesting. What is in the Border Support Network? Well, there are 3 sections. The middle section, which is resistance. On the right-hand section, migrant support. And on the left-hand section, education. And we're going to walk through all of this. There's the migrant support on the right, and then there's education on the left, okay? So if you want to draw this out with me, you can. It'll help you understand. And this was done on the same trip that Evan Duke, Lilith Sinclair, Myron Dewey, Brendan Tucker, and Vanessa Dundon, a.k.a. Susie Desbot, went to Antioch College. Notice how they are partnering, Border Support Network, BAM, people involved in openly claiming to be involved in human smuggling, working with a college. I don't understand how this works, but here it is. And the first thing is their BS prophecy about the eagle and the condor. Underneath that is resistance. Now, in this box, there's trauma. Sorry, there's 3 boxes there. In the 2 middle ones, we've got land protection. That's what PROT stands for. You see that? Land protection. And what is the land protection they're going to be doing? The Butterfly Center. And I don't know what that says. It looks like BEC of B. It's the one thing on this whole chart diagram I cannot decipher exactly what it says. So you've got land protection, and the next to that is water protection. This ties directly to Standing Rock. This is how it ties directly to Standing Rock. Hola, papito lindo. Te amo. Saludos. Ya me voy a San Diego la semana que entra. I'm saying hi to my dad. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Okay. So, water protection is the indigenous leaders of Standing Rock. Their leaders, their chosen leaders. The kinds of leaders I've been telling you about sell their own people out. Lie about their skills, their background. Below that, what do we have? We have legal witnesses. You know what that means, right? Legal witnesses. Like when Lilith Sinclair and Evan Duke, these very same people, and Brendan Tucker went to the border when there was a clash, the second clash that took place around New Year's, was it, Duke?
Mm-hmm.
That where there was 100 and some people that went to the border, and there was tear gas deployed to get them to turn back because there was rock throwing involved. On that date, these people quoted in the San Diego Union Tribune article, or was it KPBS? KPBS said they were just there to witness. Other people said they were there to help people cross into the United States illegally. But they said they're not doing that. They're just witnesses, legal witnesses, right? So we've got legal witnesses, and this is separate from the legal support, okay? And it says activating the mobilization. Activating mobilization. That's what it says. In the protest organizations are part of the Border Support Network. Legal witnesses are part of the Border Support Network. Water protectors, land protectors are part of the Border Support Network. What part? The resistors part. The part that is the protesters, right? And who are part of this protest organization? Well, Border Support Network leaders, of course. And the one under that is political statements. So politics are involved. Politics, politicians, political campaign managers. Okay, so now let's go over to migrant support. That's right there. To your right, you will see the migrant support. And we have water protection right next to it, right? So underneath migrant support, we've got the donation distribution, which consists of, and we got the first two right, Tucker, who is in Texas. That's Brendan Tucker. Birdie, who is in San Diego, Birdie Gutierrez of Bridges of Love Across Border. And Lety, L-E-T-Y,
Okay.
E-L-E-T-Y, could be, and that one is in TJ, could be Lety Herrera, who works on the Mexican side along with Bridges of Love Across Border with Birdie Gutierrez, or another person that works very closely to Birdie Gutierrez, Lety Guzman, which is part of the Border Support Networks and also Border Angels. Could be either one. When I talked to the pastor at Agape Church, he told me that he had received donations from Birdie Gutierrez in the past. That there had been 2 tries in which someone was going to deliver donations to him from Bridges of Love Across Borders. One time, it was a woman from Border Angels, delivering donations, distributing donations. The second time, it was unaccompanied migrant child kidnapper River Doherty. And the pastor said, the donations never arrived. Birdie Gutierrez said he stole the donations. He kept them for himself. That's why they never arrived. So I'm not really sure if it's Lety Herrera or if that refers to Lety Guzman. Don't know for sure. Could be either one. Possibility is there. Underneath that, you've got the medical support for activists and for asylum seekers. So they had worked in that they would be fundraising for medical support. Look, there's an arrow to the fundraising right there. And then there's also sponsor support. Doesn't say a whole lot in there. I don't think they put a lot of thought behind how they would get sponsors and what kind of a poop show that would turn into with people being treated like slaves per their own posts on social media. Educating people about the real, the work that it's going to be a sponsor of somebody that's been let out of detention. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of legal responsibility too. And underneath that, you've got the legal support. Part of the Border Support Network is legal support. But how come they're on here twice? Because there's 2 legal support boxes. One of them is part of the section that gives migrants advice. Okay? Part of the legal support is on the other side under education. So look at what it says under legal support here. Who do we have? The legal support for asylum seekers, indigenous land rights, it says, indigenous land rights. And then underneath that, there's an arrow. You see that? Under that second bullet point, there's an arrow that points to eminent, why are you going away from it? Eminent domain and border wall construction. So they're focused on making sure to give people legal support on the issue of construction. This is very similar to what we saw with Standing Rock. Remember when they had all these people that were fighting the eminent domain cases, like in Iowa, where they were going to build part of the pipeline? Duke, remember? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is typical. So we've got the eminent domain. They want to stop the border wall construction. That's what that's all about, right? They want to detain it for as long as they possibly can. Again, it doesn't matter whether they will succeed. I don't think their goal is ever to succeed. I don't really think they care about that part. Now, you'll notice there's a star on the protest organizations. There's a little star on that square. And then there's a hair line that goes from medical support and goes all the way across the board to trauma and colonization. You see that? Mm-hmm. Travels all the way up there to trauma and colonization. That's the next box we're going to look at. This little section in the middle that is literally in between education and resistance. It falls under the umbrella of the section on resistance. Notice it's not squarely under education. If you look at the other side on migrant support, you'll see that the donation distribution and the sponsor support fall directly under migrant support, but not trauma and colonization, not know your rights. Those are part of the resistance. This is what Nicole Ramos was talking about. Okay? This is what she was referring to. But know your rights is over there under the resistance. And then under education, you have nonviolent direct action that will be taught by Border Support Network teachers and Antioch. The name of the college is there. History of natural resources. The history of natural resources is the top box next to nonviolent direct action. And who's going to be in charge of that? Myron Dewey. And colleges. Doesn't say Antioch, so other colleges. Underneath that, it says, what does it say? Documentation and AGG media. AGG period media. Now, you heard the interview with Lila Sinclair. You remember she was talking about how they need to be aggressive. Nonviolent, but aggressive. But aggressive. So what does that mean? It could be aggressive media, which is not independent, not objective, but is aggressive. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. Or this could stand for aggregate media, possibly, which is to say, how do you get this information out to the most people? This is all part of their planning, folks. This is all planned. The caravans were planned. How they would be brought here was planned. How these people interact with each other was planned. Here it is on a chart. This is from December, folks. This is right after that first caravan that came in October. They spread their network out far and wide, and they put it down here in this chalkboard at Antioch College. Who's going to be part of the documentation Who's going to be part of the media documentation? Tribeca. Tribeca, as in the film festival. Antioch College in documentation and aggregate media, and you have Myron. And then on the left, you have Indian culture and history. Just as we said before, Errol Medicine, Wiaka Eagleman, and Dwayne Redwater are listed under there. And then you've got Juan P. Mancias of the Carrizo Camacrudo tribe. Do you see that the work with the tribes was baked in to the whole caravan thing and the Border Support Network? They were going to take Indian culture and history and shove it down the Mexican people's throats, whether or not we wanted that to be a part of the topic, or climate change, or anything else they have astroturfed the issue of migration and immigration policy with, because that's what they did. This is a hijacking of a narrative of a very important topic that many people like myself have been working for and advocating for our entire lifetimes. For these people with their own personal agenda, political designs, to come in and say, well, we're going to be the ones that decide how this is discussed, where this topic goes, and who is put at the forefront in the leadership on this topic is disgusting. But they're doing it. There it is. And below that, maybe one of the most important squares on this chalkboard is legal support. And of course, I got the first one right. Does say al otro lado. You can make it bigger if you want, but it says al otro lado. And then underneath that, it has Tucker, and in parentheses, it says LULAC. Do you know what LULAC is, Duke?
No.
You never heard of LULAC? I have to get the whole thing because I will forget. LULAC stands for the League of United Latin American Citizens. So they're getting some help from LULAC. Al otro lado. The Border Support Network and the people involved in the Border Support Network connected to anti-fascist and anarchists that do not like or respect our laws or our government are working hand in glove with al otro lado. People connected to the violent anarchists like BAM members and others of these anarchists and anti-fascists who've been arrested, who have been caught with, caches of weapons, going to protest to, wreak havoc, get into fights, hurt people. Those people are directly connected. Write this on this chalkboard. To al otro lado. To Nicole Ramos and to her organization. It was all part of what they planned from the beginning. So when she says in articles, when they say in articles, different organizations like Al Otro Lado, and even Pueblos Sin Fronteras, that, oh, no, they don't have anything to do with those criminals over there, those violent criminals, anarchists that hate their government, that are openly speaking out against their government, openly treasonous. It is because they want to distance themselves from people being able to tie them directly to these violent, treasonous, terrorist organizations. Because this is a form of domestic terrorism. And now it's on an international scale. And they're working with al otro lado. Always were, folks, from the get-go. And I told you, I showed you from Nicole Ramos's own page, she was talking about how her dog was born at Standing Rock. She's friends with one of the volunteers of two of the Water Protector Legal Collective and the Freshet, two of the legal groups, the groups of attorneys that raised millions of dollars for protesters here at Standing Rock. What are the odds?
Yeah.
What are the odds that the same groups of unethical lawyers doing all sorts of unethical things with this money and supporting these groups. Of many of the people that they defended were people that were directly involved in a crime against a woman I exonerated, which they framed together with the lawyers groups, together with the people working with the lawyers groups. Kathleen Bennett. They helped, this lawyers group, far from giving people legal support, helped to frame an innocent woman. That's a crime. That's a crime against people that they committed against two elderly women. They never got punishment for it. They never looked back. And now there are new legal groups working with a caravan. What could go wrong? Guess what? A lot of things are going to go wrong. A lot of things are going to go wrong if her friends in the Water Protector Legal Collective are anywhere close to the type of legal group as Al Otro Lado and some of these others. There's going to be a lot of things that go wrong. Lots and lots and lots and lots. But they will be there for the fallout. By then, they will have been long gone on to their next thing. Now let's get to the second one here, because this one you haven't seen, and it's very interesting. This is the second chalkboard that I got from Evan Duke's page. That's the wrong one. It's the same one. That's the same one. So go to the next one, honey. Chalkboard number 2. This one is a little blurry, but still pretty legible. And there's numbers here. You can see activist headquarters there is number 1. Has a little number 1 next to it. And it says under number 1, this is part of how they're organizing this border support network. It says activist headquarters. What's the activist headquarters for? You should ask. Well, bullet point number 1 is shelter for activists. Bullet point number 2 is donation center. But underneath shelter for activists, it tells you a little bit more about what that will include. It's going to include the media. It's going to include medical care. And it's going to include outreach. You see that, folks? You see what they're going to do with the activists shelter? They're going to have media support, medical support, and outreach. And then they have, the continuing bullet points there. You've got donation center. You've got training. You've got legal services. And then they put the legal service providers, LULAC, etc. Well, we know the other one is al otro lado. It's on the other chalkboard. There are others. I've talked to you about them. And finally, we have strategy on the ground headquarters. Strategy ground headquarters. Ground headquarters? What the hell does that mean? Strategy ground headquarters. Okay. Number 2 is all the way to the right. There's number 3 in the middle, but number 2 is all the way to the right. And it says, step number 2. Step number 1 is get activist headquarters set up. Got to do that first. And they did. Casa Condor, remember that? Mm-hmm. They were going to but here's what it says about what are the qualifications for step number 2? They got to acquire land. That's what they need to do for step number 2. But what are the qualifications? Well, one of them is sanitation, and the second one is a natural water source. Maybe they're referring there to the camps, but it could also be referring to shelters set up for the caravan people, for the people that cross illegally, and for the people that stay in Mexico. But look what it says, and this is what I found very interesting. It says there are 2 options for acquisition of land. Option 1 is 10 miles away, and option 2 is 20 miles away. Option 2 tells you more, though. It says 20 miles from TJ. That's Tijuana. So they're talking about acquiring land either 10 miles away from Tijuana or 20 miles away from Tijuana. Ding, 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 ding. Remember how they didn't want to leave the street in front of Benito Juarez and the shelter Viento y Marea? Remember how they didn't want to leave, how they refused to leave, how they didn't want to go to El Barretal, which was 15 or 20 minutes in by vehicle? See, the law in Mexico requires that undocumented people with an intent to cross cannot be sheltered in any location right next to the border because it poses a security threat. Duh. Because it poses a security threat. So the authorities in Mexico went and got a shelter that was inland. About 30 minutes, 20 minutes. That was not good enough. And these activists use every trick up their sleeve, every lie, every form of deceit in order to trick and coerce and manipulate the caravan to stay where it was, to stay put, not to leave the streets, not to leave that Viento y Marea shelter. It was always part of their plan to stay 10 or 20 miles from Tijuana. 10 or 20 miles. Okay? Now, there's arrows that point from number 2 to number 3. You see the arrow? It goes over there, number 3. And there's another part right underneath number 2 we need to look at really quick, which is the collaboration with reservations. We know of 2 of them they're collaborating with, the Tohono O'odham and the Carrizo Come Crudo. But we have to include Standing Rock. Of course, we have so many of the Standing Rock leadership involved in all of this. We've got to involve Lakota tribes, right? And other tribes involved at Standing Rock. And what does it say there? It says, need for transportation south of Tijuana. Look how it's part of the box there, Duke. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be part of the whole thing. It says, need for transportation south of Tijuana. They're talking about transportation for the migrants. You realize that, right? South of Tijuana, as far as I know, is Baja California and more of Mexico. Mm-hmm. They're talking about making arrangements for transportation in Mexico for the migrants in the caravan that plan to travel to the United States. This was presented, after all, at Antioch College in these United States of America, not in Mexico. So below that, they say they need shelter, and they got check, got it. Food, check, check mark. And water, question mark, question mark. They don't have that yet, or at least they didn't at that point in terms of how they were going to get that part. Now, all the way, well, the middle part there is Altruist Relief. What do you suppose that means, Duke?
I have no idea. Altruist Relief? Oh, you just go in and you're just altruistic.
Which is what?
I don't know. It's some hippie thing.
It's seriously, what do you think it means? I'm
That's
asking your opinion. Do you think it means that, like, people from the outside just show up and do nice deeds? Or
altruistic relief. Like just go for the goodness in the hearts of the people who are willing to help. We're relying on the people to get involved and come to the aid and participate, that we can manipulate. That's what I see. That's the only thing I can think of. This was their college class that day. You know, they probably had a definition that they had to learn, but they didn't put it up on the board.
You know what I think it is? There's a big hole there. It says Altruist Relief. It's step number 3, by the way. And there's nothing. There's nothing there. They didn't write anything down. They don't have a plan. You know what that part is? That's you guys. That's the suckers out there who are going to fund their shenanigans, who are going to have their heartstrings pulled buy their stories and donate to them, the activists, not to the caravan goers, not to the refugees, not to the shelters in Mexico that are to the point of breaking. No, to them, for them. And they don't have a plan there because it's going to be your shoulders that this problem falls upon. The taxpayer. Clean it up. Clean up on aisle lie. Number 4, we have standardized language. I don't know what that means. It's all the way at the top and in the middle of this diagram plan. And it says standardized language. I don't know what do you think that means, Duke?
I don't know.
When you standardize the language, is like you all get on board with the jargon you're going to use?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh, yeah, because they're like caravan support or asylum seekers. Yeah. Or exodus. Migrant exodus. All their standardized. They did standardize that crap. And then underneath it says proposals and funds support.
Wow.
There are proposals and funding support. It looks like our proposals and funding support there. Our proposals. So maybe there are proposals and funding support. So anyway, that is the rest of that chart diagram. Now let's move on to the list of activists, okay? Now, for those of you who don't know, Winnie Wong is a woman that works on, she was the architect of Occupy Wall Street. And Winnie Wong is a woman that has worked ever since that time on decentralized campaigns with no leadership for politicians. And for politicians. And for politicians. In the present, she was working with Desiree Kane, Maggie Day, Seven McDonald, and all the PR people and Hollywood people that went to Standing Rock and created this year-long protest that cost taxpayers and federal funding to the tune of more than $15 million. That's what the kind of chaos Winnie Wong can bring to your door.
Oh, yeah. And
here she puts out this list, which I think is gold. This is the list of gold. It was on her page. It's set to private. This is an old one. This is from 2017. Many of the people that went to the People's Summit, I did a show where we covered all the different Standing Rock phonies that ended up going to the People's Summit, and I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought they all decided to congregate at this People's Summit thing. So it was a convenient place to see their connections. But you have to understand who connects these folks. It's people like Winnie Wong. They're the top tier of, the glitterati and the people that the movers and the shakers of all of these things. And in this post, she asks her friends, which organizers and epic beep disruptors do you want to see at the People's Summit? I'm not asking for a friend. I'm literally asking for me. Just put your answers in the comments. And here are the people mentioned. I'm not going to read all of the names. I am only going to read the names that have come across my investigations into the people working directly with Standing Rock and other campaigns that I find to be rife with exploitation, with fraud, with collection of money for their own gain, with political aspirations behind it. Okay? Here we go. Nina Turner. Naomi Klein. Nina Turner again. And we've seen her working with the same folks we've been investigating now, Nina Turner, with this whole caravan thing. The Fang Collective. Desiree Kane. Sometimes I'm going to read the people recommended. Sometimes I'm going to read the names of the people posting comments because they were all involved in Standing Rock in one way or another. There's Desiree Kane. She also worked at Netroots Nation. She also worked with Bernie's campaign. She also worked as a PR person, media person. She's media connected. She's PR connected to the Bernie Sanders campaign. Next, Samuel Ronan. Do you remember that guy? He was the one that Vox Veritas put on their website. Then we've got Glenn Greenwald of The Intercept. His name has come up several times, as has The Intercept. Dr. Cornell West. Dr. Cornell West, Duke.
Wow.
You got to keep scrolling down to see him. Are you moving that list?
Yeah, they went all the way to the bottom.
There's Glenn Greenwald. Mm-hmm. And there's Dr. Cornell West, and you're not at the bottom yet. Next is Lee Camp. Lee Camp is from Redacted Tonight. We've seen plenty of him and everyone else at RT Television since Standing Rock because there are connections, as well as to the Young Turks because there are connections, to the Democratic Socialists of America and the Justice Democrats, the PAC started by Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks that helped get people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib elected, all of those people. Dr. Cornell West was at Standing Rock. Lee Camp commentated a lot on Standing Rock and was friends with the people in media that were out there. Winnie Wong also names Nomiki Konst. Nomiki Konst is also somebody that we saw later in Puerto Rico, first in Standing Rock, doing disaster relief. Let's go to slide number 2. In slide number 2 of the activists, we have, again, I'm not going to go through every single one of these. I'm just going to read the ones that I've come across, that I've seen that needed to be investigated because of their involvement in Standing Rock. Why is it doing this to me? Does it hate me? Okay, starting at the top. It does hate me, I think. Don't know why it's doing this. Just being evil and horrible. Okay. Robert Reich. Keep going. Somebody recommends Bernie Sanders. Even though. Then there's Josh Fox. Josh Fox is the documentary filmmaker. Keep going. Keep going. See, there's Bernie Sanders' recommendation. Josh Fox. And somebody says, recommends him because Josh Fox, because climate change, and then Chase Iron Eyes because environment and indigenous right. Yeah, Chase Iron Eyes helped put a bunch of indigenous people in jail. That's how much he cares about indigenous rights.
Exactly.
Josh Fox helped make a disgusting propaganda piece of crap documentary film called Awake with Digital Smoke Signals Myron Dewey that appears on that chart. These people gave agency to Myron Dewey, who now calls himself a professor. This guy can't even string a sentence together. He doesn't speak English coherently, and yet he is teaching. He's out there teaching people in colleges and such. You've got Bill Moyer mentioned here. And again, more Bernie Sanders. Let's see who else is on here. Keep going, keep going. Tim Schwartz. Tangerine Bolin writes, I don't know, but I'd like to see Tim Schwartz and Ed Higgins. Keep going, honey. There it is. Remember Tangerine Bolin, honey?
Yeah.
Do you remember Tangerine Bolin for Revolution Truth, or what was the name of her thing?
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Revolution Truth. They raised hundreds of thousands of dollars so that Tangerine could buy herself a new house.
Yeah.
They raised thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because she was going to sue Trump. They were going to sue Trump. Guess what happened? I just told you she bought herself a new house.
Mm-hmm.
And she got treatment for some brain injury or something that she had since the beginning of the raising of the money. But you know who she loves? She likes Ed Higgins,
Mm-hmm.
one of the correspondents for Madeline Kelly Merritt's, the actress, the LA Divest person working with Jay Ponte, correspondent Ed Higgins. She recommends him. He was later involved in covering up the violent kidnapping and rape of a woman on a platform that was run by this actress, founded by this actress, Madeline Kelly Merritt. And Tim Schwartz, you remember him? He's the what's it called? Yeah, the ban exit guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was to get you out of the banks.
Yep.
Exit banks.
Yep. Divest, all that
Divest.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they worked hand in glove with Madeline Kelly Merritt's Divest LA. So there they are. And then who else is on the list? Go past the cat. And after the cat is Linda Sarsour. And then after Linda Sarsour is California for Progress. Uh-huh. Who else we got on this list? Well, if you keep going, there's Tara Hauska from the Water Protector Legal Collective. Tara Hauska, one of the leaders of the Red Warrior Camp at Standing Rock. And who's next? Why, it's the board members of Our Revolution, the group created for Bernie Sanders. Remember, I told you it's a who's who of people that were involved in Standing Rock and now in the Caravan, including the wife of Myron Dewey, Deborah Parker. Wiki that group, Our Revolution. Every single one of the people on the board of that group definitely is on the list of people you should be looking into more deeply. I don't know who Reverend William Barber is. And then there's another Standing Rock connected person, Prolific the Rapper. And also, he was a drone pilot.
Yep.
He was arrested along with Myron Dewey at Standing Rock. I don't know who the next people there are, but after that, Francis Fisher says, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Because Colin Kaepernick gave, was it $1 million or more to Standing Rock protesters?
Mm-hmm.
To all of this nonsense?
Yeah.
And guess what? Colin Kaepernick is somebody that works with the same PR team. The people that Francis Fisher recommends are the people that work with Winnie Wong. There's Samira Khan, another person from Russian television, a correspondent from Russian television that was at Standing Rock with Francis Fisher. And another person with Francis Fisher is Myron Dewey. She tags him. And Jordan Sheridan, the rapist from Truth Against the Machine and the Young Turks. Of course, someone else recommends her.
Yeah.
And after that, we've got Dennis Banks recommended. He's now passed away. At the time, he hadn't passed away. And AIM is very much a part of this list. AIM Leadership, Phyllis Young. All of these people are very important to AIM Leadership, and they are involved in caravan coordination, manipulation, and exploitation. Sean King is tagged. He is connected to Linda Sarsour and Mohammed Al-Naqib. He is connected to those groups that are Democratic Socialist adjacent and supporters of the BDS, Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement. Francis Fisher also recommends Nako Bear and Medicine for the People. Nako is one of the singers that we saw with the Red Rum People. And that's it, right? Now we're going to go to list number 3. Let's look at who's on list number 3, Duke.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Gotta have some volume. It's radio after all.
We've got the National Lawyers Guild. You can start reading at the top.
Well, I don't know what some of these.
So, the very first thing that they talk about at the very top, if you get me up there, all the way, all the way, all the way. I know I made some of these a little bit long. I apologize for that. So we've got Pramila Jayapal. Remember I showed you to her the other day how she was involved? Pramila Jayapal? Yes, because they're connected to these actresses and actors in Hollywood. If you didn't think that your elected officials are puppets of Hollywood, you need to wake up. They are. And we know who they are. And so are the people in the media. If you scroll down, you'll see Frances Fisher out herself and tell you exactly who they work with. There's Mike Ferguson bringing out Juan Gonzalez and Amy Goodman. Now you have, keep going. There's a bunch of people I don't recognize. I'm not going to read them because, again, I want you to focus on the ones that have been involved in Standing Rock and are currently involved in the caravans. There's Scahill and Greenwald of The Intercept. Yes, The Intercept has been compromised, is compromised, was compromised. Daryl Prince says, Linda Sarsour again. Linda Sarsour, Linda Sarsour, Linda Sarsour. And she has got her hands all over the caravan. Then we've got Nomiki Konst mentioned again. Tina Turner mentioned again. And here comes Tulsi Gabbard. There's Sean King again. There are some people that get brought up many times and that are definitely involved. There's Cornel West. There's Cornel West again. Somebody recommends Winnie Wong, of course. And then they've got a bunch of representatives I don't recognize. And there's some more organizers. Somebody says, Paula says, a group from Flint, Appalachia, and Standing Rock. Yeah, because the Flint people were so great, weren't they?
Yeah.
Not. They weren't. Anoa Changa is one of the people that y'all should be looking for. There's Josh Fox commenting. I second everyone Frances Fisher just said. Of course you do. Because you and her are uña and mugre, working together. Frances Fisher and you are buds. These documentary filmmakers work together with the Hollywood crowd, folks. That's how they know them. And if you scroll down past that really long list that has nobody in it that I recognize at all, you get to, I recognize Bree Newsome, but she had nothing to do with Standing Rock that I know of. And keep going all the way to the bottom. I think we're there. We're at the bottom. So finally, let's go to list 4. List 4. And if you go to the very top, why does this do this to me? I think it just hates me. We're starting out with a bunch of stuff that you don't want to really scroll down that far. Don't even go that far because we might be running up against it here. The first part is not very good till you get to Jordan Sheridan. Keep going.
Down or up?
Yeah, just like how you are. Scroll to the bottom. Scroll to the top, I mean. Keep going. I'll tell you when to stop. When you see a guy named Zachary Reinhardt, that's where you're going to stop. There you go. One more. There. So, under that, you see, I know who Erin Brockovich is, but I don't think she's involved in any of this. And below her, you see Jordan Sheridan. And underneath that, there are more people mentioned by, let's see, Nick Carter. Really? Oh, no, they're talking about not the Backstreet Boys. They're making a joke about somebody. There is Yane Indigo. Yane Indigo, if you will recall, Duke, keep going. is one of Maggie Day's friends. She's close to the people that were organizers and the PR people that worked with Standing Rock. Next to that name is Ajamu Baraka, the running mate for Jill Stein, also involved in Standing Rock. Both of them. Ahmed Khan recommends Linda Sarsour once again. And then David Olson chimes in and throws in some of the people from the group I just read to you about yesterday. The group that includes the domestic terrorist Bill Ayers. No to fascism. And look who else is in the mix. Angela Davis. Angela Davis, the same Angela Davis that sits on a board with Linda Sarsour. Yes, that one. That was involved with the Caravan Support Network lady, the Border Support Network lady in the WhatsApp that was given to me by the pastor involved in the kidnapping of the unaccompanied minor. That Paula Khan, who's connected to Code Pink. Yeah. That Angela Davis. Radical Democracy is mentioned. And then they have Jay Ponte posts, and Jay Ponte is one of the people that's definitely on the list. He posts, he was at Standing Rock. Josh Fox, Evan K. Duke III, who, as you know, is the founder of the Caravan Support Network, Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network, now known as the Border Support Network page group. Who else does he put down? Desiree Kane. I'm going to look into that Anthony Rogers Wright. I'm going to look into David Braun, but also notice Desiree Kane, one of the main organizers there, listed. Francis Fisher. Eden McFadden, got to look into that dude or girl, I don't know. Samira Khan, the Russian television news correspondent, again, and Nomiki Konst. And if you keep scrolling down, you've got Hassan Piker from the Young Turks, tagged. So the Young Turks made an appearance officially. If you keep going down further, you'll see Deborah Parker. That's Myron Dewey's wife. This is literally a who's who of all of the people that are poop stirrers in America and that are doing all the bad things. All of them. Then you've got Nina Turner mentioned again. You've got Sean King mentioned again. And then Nina Aziz Allen says, ooh, you went too far, I think. You went too far. Nina Aziz Allen says, Rosario Dawson. Where are you, honey? I think you need to go down a little bit further. Hassan Piker. Wait, stay at Hassan Piker. And I'll tell you where to go from there, okay? Okay, now you can scroll down. That's correct. You can scroll down. Keep scrolling. I'll tell you when to stop. And you're almost there. You're almost there. A little bit more. Portia says Nina. Keep going. And then we've got Dea Schlossberg. You know who Dea Schlossberg is? She is the filmmaker that was arrested when she was filming at the place where they shut down that pipeline, Duke. Remember that they closed the thingy?
Yep.
And then she got arrested, and Josh Fox did a video crying, raising money, begging for people's help. Mm-hmm. Look at Nina Aziz Allen is next. She says, we should get Sean King, who's connected to Linda Sarsour and the Women's March people. Then she says somebody else. Who else does she want to recommend? Rosario Dawson. Here's Francis Fisher's crowd. The actors, all the same actors they use over and over and over again. Rosario Dawson, Shailene Woodley, Malalia, Maldita, Malvada, Hulman, and Kendrick Sampson. Every time I see all of these actors, every time I see them again, I scream. I screamed at the television last night. Remember, Duke? Mm-hmm. We were watching a show, and I'm like, there's Kendrick Sampson. He was at Standing Rock. These people, Shailene, Kendrick, Rosario, all these actors and actresses that are going around doing their pseudo activism, hurting people. You traumatize me. You traumatize people in America with what you do. You make it so I can't enjoy the television anymore. Why don't you just stick to acting?
Yeah, really.
Instead of all of this other nonsense. Don't they pay you enough? And then if you keep scrolling down, somebody else recommends Rosario Dawson again. Jimmy Dore is in that mix. Why? He's connected to the Young Turks. And then, of course, there's Tulsi Gabbard again. Linda Sarsour again. Momita Ahmed. We've got... I don't recognize any more of these people. Winnie Wong recommended again. And then I think we're at the end of our list. This is the end of our list.
All right.
So, folks, that was an education, I know, but it's an important education that you need to have. Now, for my next part, I wanted to show you a different post of hers in which she talks about the people that form the cadre that works with Bernie Sanders. This is important because she tells you herself. This is her initial post. She says, Elizabeth Warren made one of the biggest mistakes in her political career by voting yes on Ben Carson. This is back in March 18th of 2017 that she posted this. The internet will never forgive her now that the narrative of the poors has been normalized. Her 7 million Facebook followers are not the 90 million eligible millennial voters of 2020. They will only be swayed by Bernie Sanders and his cadre. Who is it? To name a few, Nomiki Konst. And to show you that it is definitely Nomiki Konst here, I hovered over her name so you can see. There she is. She's also... And please go to the next slide. The next person mentioned there is Mumita. And Mumita is Mumita Ahmed. You can see that because I hovered over her name. You can see she's the one they're talking about there and who she's connected to. Social media at Vote Please. Lead organizer at Millennials 4R. I don't know what that is. The next person mentioned is Nalini Stamp. Nalini Stamp is connected to whom and to what? It says there she is friends with the executive director of Center for Media Change. So she's an organizer. Mm-hmm. Works at Working Families Party. Strategy and Partnership Director. There's a lot of these folks in the mix. Next we have Linda, and that's Linda Sarsour. And you can see, because I hovered over her name, she's also friends with the head of the Center for Media Justice. And one of the people that got arrested and ended up here at our house, activist Lisa Fithian. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Next is Nina Turner. Nina Turner is the last person that is listed on that list. I thought that was very interesting. I'm glad to know who's part of Bernie's cadre. Who's he working with? Because you're one of the lead organizers in that cadre, Winnie Wong. And if you say so, I believe you. Also want to know why you were so tight with that former Bernie delegate turned Sputnik reporter, Cassandra Fairbanks. Oh, yeah. Because she was in tight with her. Mm-hmm. And then this just article that was listed in that list that we just went through, that big long list, it gives you names of important people in organizing, powerful people on the rise that folks in that list wanted to highlight. And I thought, ooh, grab that link, tuck it away for later, check it out and find out who's in here. Yeah. One of the people in here that jumped out at me right away and slapped me in the face is Tara Houska. Oh, boy. Lawyer, stands with Indigenous activists. And there's also Dallas Goldtooth. Oh, boy. Of the Indigenous Environmental Network. The son of Tom Goldtooth, the executive director of said Indigenous Environmental Network. And he is one of the people Tom Goldtooth, working directly with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Did you go past Dallas?
I haven't seen him yet.
You haven't seen him yet. Maybe I'm faster at scrolling than you.
Well, it's really,
Finally,
it's really hard.
finally, at the very, very bottom of this list, guys, is Congresswoman Nanette Barragan. There's Tara. There's Dallas. And all the way at the bottom is Congresswoman Nanette Barragan. What is she doing now? You might ask. Why? She's in the videos with Al Otro Lado's Nicole Ramos. She hired the WhatsApp activist, the woman in the WhatsApp chats that were involving the kidnapped unaccompanied minor, Carlos. Yeah, Chudy, Sofia Marie de Loreto Chudy worked on Nanette Barragan's campaign, tagged Senator Jeff Merkley in her reproaches against the work of Grupo Beta in Mexico and against the treatment of Al Otro Lado's workers, including her buddy, Nicole Ramos. Told you it was interesting.
Yeah.
Should be some good research in there. I'll give you the link to Winnie Wong's Cadre post. That way you can go and read the comments of what they're talking about and who's in there having those conversations. I'm not going to do it tonight. I am already in pain and I need to get to the rest of my show. So Wong has a list of the best organizers. I'm going to go through it. It's kind of short. Should be quick to get through. Easier to get through than the first one that we did. And here's the first one. She said, this is recent, guys. This is recent. She said, who are the best organizers by issue in the movement? Can you leave your name in my comments or nominate someone? Thank you. Either your name or who you like. And if you go up, you will find, oops. How come I can't get that to copy over here? Okay. You will find, keep going. There's Michael Fox, David Lynn. Okay. Josh Fox, Jane Fleming Klebe. Duke, look at this list. Seriously, Jay Ponte posted this. Look at this list. It's a who's who
of Standing Rock,
Standing Rock, and the people connected to the politicians, to the funding, everything. I'm going to read out the whole list, but I'm going to highlight the most important ones. Okay. Bill McKibben with the organization 360.org. Josh Fox, documentary filmmaker connected to Myron Dewey. And Francis Fisher and Susan Sarandon and all those people. Jane Fleming Klebe of Iowa Bold, Nebraska Bold, and all of those Bold organizations that funded Menape Lemare, ex-convict for drug dealing of methamphetamines, to come to Standing Rock. And who helped, Menape Lemare did, helped to put Kathleen Bennett in jail and put her mother in an early grave. That Jane Fleming Klebe. Sherry Foytlin, I've seen her a lot. Joy Brunn is Wiaka Eagleman's auntie and one of the leaders in the Indigenous Environmental Network, along with Dallas Goldtooth, Candy Mossett White, Tom Goldtooth, Winona LeDuc of Honor the Earth, who worked with, at least until recently when she became a North Dakota legislator, Ruth Ann Buffalo. Yeah, Ruth Ann Buffalo worked directly with Honor the Earth and Winona LeDuc, who was the umbrella financial, fiscal agent of Freshet, the legal collective that collected millions of dollars for the people that got arrested at Standing Rock. I don't know who these other people are. Public banking, Masaka talks, Jackie Fetter. Carlos Marroquin, Bernie's Brigade. Carlos Marroquin, working with Estefania Rebelon now. Carlos Marroquin was with the vets at Standing Rock. Carlos Marroquin was in the pictures with Evan K. Duke III and all of those people standing on the road with Ed Higgins. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that, Duke?
I sure do.
That's Carlos Marroquin. Still connected, one of the big important organizers in this movement now of the caravans. We then jump to, hey, it's none other than Estefania Rebelon, the actress fraudulently raising money for herself. Then there's Evan Duke III, once again, Antifa, anarchist, leader, founder of the Caravan Support Network, Border Support Network. Then they've got Black Lives Matter in there, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen leadership of Black Lives Matter tagged in these lists. And the Poor People's Campaign, connected to Linda Sarsour. Linda Sarsour. And finally, at the very end, is Jody Evans, the founder or co-founder of Code Pink, which once again ties back to Jay Ponte and Francis Fisher. You see that? Mm-hmm. Of course, Jay Ponte is in there as well. And if you keep going down, past Nicole Carty, past Winnie Wong, there's Bob Bland, one of the founders of the Women's March. And she says, Nicole Carty, and then if you keep going past that, she says, I'm still personally counting on Linda Sarsour and Winnie Wong ticket for 2020. Like for running mates in the presidential for 2020.
Yeah, right.
Winnie Wong and Linda Sarsour, says one of the founders of the women's movement. I wouldn't, you laugh, Duke, but I would take these women very freaking seriously. Because look at what they have done, what they have been able to do. Keep going. Allison Rose puts in Winona LaDuke again, which we know is very, very much involved in all of this stuff. And progressive politics. And Samson puts in a list of a bunch of people that I don't recognize or know. Somebody for queer rights, also unknown. Anti-fascism, direct action, HIV advocacy, disability rights. And then Linda Sarsour chimes in, Duke. She gets right into the mix and she says, Samson Zarek Hampton. Now that's a great list. That list that he put on where he puts all of these. Samson Harek Hampton literally gives us all of these different areas. Healthcare, check. We got a person for healthcare, Jennifer Flynn Walker. Queer rights, go right above it. Go right above it. Go right above it, Duke. No, you're going down below it. Go right above it. There's the list right there. And you see queer rights, anti-fascism, direct action, HIV advocacy, and disability rights. And then underneath that, Linda Sarsour herself is commenting. She's connected to the San Diego Rapid Response Network. She's connected to the clergy, the new sanctuary clergy that got themselves arrested on the shores of Playas de Tijuana. Okay? These people are all working together and connected. And if you scroll down, that's it. That's all they got. They got the Poor People's Campaign in there as well. We got one more slide on this, Duke. The second one, that's the Jimmy dessert that at the bottom there that you saw. Go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Start at the top.
This one's all the way
it's very short, and you don't actually have to go to the top because around Marcy Wells is where I'm going to start you. So if you see Marcy, keep going down after that. Yep, you got the right spot. Mm-hmm. Now just scroll down from there.
This way.
Linda Sarsour. Scroll down to the bottom. There's Winnie Wong.
Okay.
Then you see Mr. Mike Ferguson there, and then you see Linda Sarsour tagged. And they put Isra Shocker says, myself for refugee, asylum seeker, TPS holder rights, the Muslim ban, and the Syrian humanitarian crisis. Okay? Then Michael Doyle says, Najimi Dzrinko, Poor People's Campaign. Najimi was one of the activists that I met when I went to the conference in Oakland. Remember that conference?
Yes.
Yep, she was there.
Okay.
And then she gets tagged at the bottom once again. So there's the whole list, guys. Very, very interesting. Having come out of the activist organizer world and seeing the names associated with all of these wrongdoings, it's very disturbing to me. We have one more part of this list to complete this list. And it starts with someone named Jake Gallardi Marco, who is listing these other areas. And he says, healthcare, so-and-so, don't recognize her. Lori Bryan and Amy Vilela. For LGBTQ advocacy, Ali Rose Gordon, Alisa Cortez. Gender diversity advocacy, Sabrina Barnema, and I don't know who that is. Mental health, I don't know who that is. Advocacy for African Americans, don't recognize that name. Rodney on Veterans too. They got a section for veterans. Somebody for immigration, justice, and Latinx advocacy. Somebody for advocacy for indigenous people. Somebody for public schools, criminal justice reform, gun safety and student organizing, women's rights and reproductive justice. Literally everything, no lie, Nevada represents. And then after that, we have got keep going past the can of chaos coordinator spray. That's what they really are. They are chaos coordinators. They create the chaos and then they coordinate it. They're making a joke, but it's true actually, because that's what happens. Anoa for Change is one of the people there, or Anoa J. Changa is one of the people. She was involved with all of the Standing Rock stuff and the media people after that. And Linda Sarsour and Winnie Wong are tagged once again. And that's it. Duke. Delegates and Friends of Bernie Sanders is tagged. That's all. But it's a who's who of a lot of the people that we've seen in the Caravan and at Standing Rock and at other things. So this I thought was very interesting because it was posted by Estefania Rebelon. I wanted to give you a quick update on what she's doing. She hasn't quit. Here's what she posted. Emergency immigration lawyer needed. Emergency, an immigration lawyer for an emergency case. Notice how closely they are working with getting, legal support for people that are crossing into the United States that they helped to instigate crossing illegally into the United States. And go all the way down to the bottom and look at that list. And let's go through it really quickly. Here are the names. Glenn Kawahara. He's very good. And keep going. They're just listing all these different names of different lawyers. Isao Tenorio, Craig Jago Beauchamp, Sandy Torres Chavez, Carlos Marroquin chimes in and says Sandy Torres Chavez, and she chimes in too and says, I'm going to the border tomorrow. I can't represent though, but let me know if I can do something. And then Matthew Donovan gives a list to a group called the DMS Cell Paso. And after that, they've got Guerra Sáenz and Lorraine D'Alessio. Is that all of them? No. And David Phillips is tagged as well. That's it. That's the list. So those are the list of lawyers. She also posted about how she's having the Comedy Store is going to be doing a charity for her Yes We Can organization with Jeff Ross, honey. Jeff Ross and other comedians are going to be doing this charity to raise money for her bus, because remember she was going to start a school in the shelter in El Barretal that is now closed.
Yeah.
And so then, she's still raising money for this thing. Now it's a bus, and she is still making money. Let us not forget what Sofia Marie De Laredo Chudy, one of the people that worked for Congresswoman Barragan, said about her. Can you put that back up? What she said about her and about her organization? Yes, we can. Because Sofia Maria de Loreto Chudi, no, the next one, posted about it. She posted a PSA announcement and said, "Do not donate. It is with personal disappointment and disgust that I must announce that this is a fraudulent fundraising campaign." Of course, Sofia Maria de Loreto Chudi was participating in fake marriages and also helping people with Al Otro Lado. So, you know, she has her own faults. And she worked for Barragan. But here she is outing Estefania Rebelon, saying she worked closely with her during my first 2 weeks providing immediate relief for refugees in Tijuana. During the third week, she approached me to ask if I would help her in building an organization using work I had already done to legitimize her own efforts. What she wanted my help in building was an organization she hoped would expand worldwide, and even told me over the phone that it would be comparable to multi-million-dollar businesses like Apple and Facebook. At that time, I had no real direction, so I said no. It had no real direction, the organization. So she said no. I was uncomfortable with her ethics. Notice the word ethics. And her lack of formal education on the subject of refugee camps, the asylum process, Latin American-U.S. relations, and nonprofits. But I hope to continue working with her, providing relief within the camp. After that, she actively attempted to block my ability to bring humanitarian aid into the camp. Look at how these people fight over control and access of the refugees. Because of the work that I had already completed at my close connections to those running the camp and those taking refugees into the camp, I was able to continue my work despite her vendetta. She's also since blocked me and my teammates on Facebook. Because of my network in Tijuana, my close communication to the leaders of the camp, local patrons, asylum seekers, and activist leaders, I know for a fact that the camp she's advertising the school will be built in will be closed by the end of the month. I have photographic proof that there is no more than 100 migrants left in this camp and no more than 10 children, and they won't be staying there through the end of next week. And third and most troubling is the fact that I know that as of last week, she was stripped of her credentials to enter and work at that camp, and so was her illegitimate organization. Yes, we can. That's the name of the organization she is currently raising money for in that comedy store.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Fundraiser.
No, you can't.
That's what they're doing, folks. They're scamming, and they even throw each other under the bus and tell on each other, hey, she's a scammer, even though Sofia Marie's also a scammer. Yeah. Hey, she's a scammer. Really. I'm going to tell you all about her scamming.
Takes one to know one.
Takes one to know one. That's right. And we'll be bringing you more information when we get back from San Diego, more likely than not. I'm going to say goodbye for now because I don't think I'll be doing another show. So hopefully you caught us live on this last show before we take off to San Diego. We'll be seeing Oscar very soon. We'll be in San Diego meeting with folks, doing interviews, and also in Tijuana. So if you want to donate, support our travel fund by going to kpppfm.com. Thank you for listening and sharing information to us and about the folks that we've been investigating connected to this caravan support network. And we'll be missing you. Yeah. This has been A Mexican Crossing Lines with Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp, and I'll miss you guys.
And you have been listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we're adding local color to your airwaves. If you get really sad about not seeing us for a while, watch us on reruns.
Yeah.
Good night.